The exercise files for today's course are located in the video description below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Welcome everyone to Google Forms. My name is Trish Connor-Cato. This class is recommended for users who would like to get to know Google Forms in more depth or who are converting to Google Workspace apps from another Office suite such as Microsoft Office. We'll start by setting up a form as a quiz, adding an answer key, and adding feedback to answers. You'll learn how to change options for releasing grades, send emails to respondents with answers, and we'll end that module by learning how to make a copy of a form. The focus in Module 7 is adding images and videos to a form. You'll learn how to add an image to a question and a form, as well as adding a video to a form in this module. Our 8th and final module will focus on using additional form features. You'll learn how to allow respondents to attach files before getting into how to upload a file from your computer and from My Drive. Also, how to locate uploaded files in My Drive. We'll delve into creating a pre-filled form and creating a pre-filled form using hyperlinks. We'll end the course by importing form questions and creating a form template. Module 6 will be using forms to create a quiz over 6 lessons. We'll start by setting up a form as a quiz. We'll then add an answer key and also add feedback to answers. In the 4th lesson, we'll change options for releasing grades, go on to sending emails to respondents with answers, and then we'll end by making a copy of a form. I'm going to navigate back to the Forms homepage. And we're going to create a form and make it into a quiz now. So let's start with a blank form. And we are immediately going to go to the Settings tab and toggle on Make This a Quiz. So when you toggle Make This a Quiz, you get some different settings here, right? So under Release Grades, you can release the grades by default immediately after each submission or later after manual review, and it's telling you go ahead and collect email addresses there. We're going to leave it on immediately for now. Your respondent settings. For missed questions, respondents can see which questions were answered incorrectly. I'm going to leave that toggled on. And for correct answers, respondents can see correct answers after grades are released. I'm going to leave that on. And also that the respondents can see total points and points received for each question. Now, these are choices depending on, your setting where you're giving the quiz, but I'm going to leave all 3 of those respondent settings set to on. And then you have global quiz defaults. So the default question point value would be for every new question globally for any quiz. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put 20 points for this one. We're going to be doing 5 question quizzes, each question worth 20 points. So then you have the same options for responses, presentation, and your default settings. So now I'm going to go back to the Questions tab. And we're going to name this quiz, so the untitled form, we're going to name it State Capital Quiz 1. And for the description, I'm going to put Alabama dash California. And then I'm going to go down to the untitled question that's there. And I'm going to make it, I think I want this to be a drop down. And the question itself is going to be, what is the capital of Alabama? It changed it to short answer. I'm going to put it back on drop down. The first option is going to be Birmingham. You can use your tab key or your down arrow key to get to the next option. That's going to be Mobile. And the third and last option is going to be Montgomery. And what I'm going to do is first I'm going to spell Alabama correctly. And then I'm going to go ahead and now this is where you have to make a choice. You can duplicate it or you can just add a new question. I'm going to duplicate this one. And I'm going to change it from Alabama to Alaska. And now I'm going to change the options as well. So the option is going to be, the first option is going to be Fairbanks. The second one is going to be Juneau. And the third one is going to be Anchorage. I think in some cases it's easier to just duplicate them and change them. So I'm going to continue to do that. The next one after Alaska is going to be Arizona. First option is going to be Tucson. Second option, Phoenix. And the third option is going to be Mesa. Duplicate. The next state after Arizona is going to be Arkansas. First option, Little Rock. Second, Fayetteville. And third, Fort Smith. And then we have one more to do, so might as well duplicate. And this is going to be California for the state. And our choices for California are going to be Los Angeles. Second choice, San Clemente. And third choice, Sacramento. So we have our 5-question quiz here. So Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, and California. And they're all drop downs. So now I'm on the what is the capital of Alabama question. And I'm going to go down in its lower left corner and click on answer key. And this is where we choose, it tells you at the top to choose the correct answer here. So we're going to choose Montgomery. That's the correct answer. Now it should have, I thought I told it to make each question by default 20 points. It didn't do that. So I'm going to just do it at this question. It's worth 20 points. And then I'm going to choose done for that question. So now you'll see it says answer key and then it shows the 20 points. For Alaska, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to answer key. The correct answer is Juneau. We're going to give it 20 points as well. And choose done. For Arizona, we're going to do the same. Arizona's capital is Phoenix, and that is also worth 20 points. For Arkansas, the correct answer for the capital is Little Rock, also 20 points. And then we're at California, and that one is Sacramento, again, 20 points. So this way, we chose some settings. Let's go back to settings for a moment, right? And so for these respondent settings, respondents can see which questions were answered incorrectly because we put in an answer key. The same for the correct answers after the grades are released because of the answer key, and the same for point values there. So I'm going to go back to the questions tab. So now that we have our answer key for each question, we're going to add feedback to answers. For Alabama, we're going to go back to answer key. And at the very bottom, we're going to click Add Answer Feedback. So for incorrect answers, we can either put in feedback, we can either supply a link so it will link them to somewhere else, or we can direct them to a YouTube video. So we're on the Incorrect Answers tab here for Alabama. And the feedback they're going to get if they put an incorrect answer, it's just going to say incorrect. We're going to go to the Correct Answers tab, and we'll do correct. And I like to put an exclamation point on that one. And save. So then it shows you the feedback for correct and incorrect answers. We're going to do the same feedback for the other 4 remaining questions. When you're done at the bottom for each one, you're going to want to click Done. I'll do one more with you, and then you'll do the rest on your own. So we're going to go to the Alaska question, click on Answer Key, click on Add Answer Feedback. I'm going to type incorrect, go to the Correct Answers tab, and that's going to be correct with an exclamation point. And done. Go ahead and do the same for the remaining 3 questions. So now I have my feedback for all of the questions here, correct or incorrect. So now I like to point out in the upper right-hand corner, it lets you know the total points for the quiz. We have 5 questions, 20 points each. There's your 100. We want to test this, and so I'm going to send it to my other email account for the purposes of this course. It's just like sending other form. And I'm going to just send the form to my A account. I'm going to go ahead and click Send. And then I'm going to switch to my A account to access that form. And so I want to purposely get a couple of the answers wrong so that I can see the feedback that we put in. So I'm going to do Alabama. I'm going to choose Montgomery, just the first one. I'm going to choose Fairbanks for Alaska. Phoenix for Arizona. Little Rock for Arkansas, and I'll do San Clemente for California, and go ahead and submit. So now it says View Score, right? And I click on that, and this is where I'll see it gives me my feedback, correct, right? This one I got wrong on purpose, incorrect. 2 more corrects, and then an incorrect at the end. So I got 2 out of 5 wrong, and in the top right corner, it gives me my total points, 60 out of 100. And I'm going to close that tab. And because we haven't disabled it, I could submit another response here, but for a quiz, you would probably want to disable that. I'm going to close that tab as well, and then be back in my original account where I created the quiz. And so when I'm there, I can go to my responses tab as usual, right? So I have summary, question, individual, only one response. So there's my points scored, right? And it has average, median, and range. But since we only have one response, the insight section has this total points distribution here. And then frequently missed questions, again, based on the one response. And then the scores with the email. And it says the score was released. My alter ego account was able to see it. And then it goes for each question, how they did, right? So this one is 1 correct response, 0 of 1 correct response. Got that one wrong on purpose, so on and so forth. So you saw the behavior when we responded as a respondent to the quiz, and we were able to see what answers were incorrect. It also gave us the correct answer for those that we got incorrect. Let's go back to settings for a moment. And under release grades, we left it set immediately after each submission, and so they were able to view the results and see everything. Let's change it to later after manual review. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up to my questions tab. I'm going to just send this to my A account again. And send. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to my A account and retake the quiz. So this time I'm going to try to get everything right. So the first one should be Montgomery. Then we have Juneau for Alaska, Phoenix, Little Rock, and Sacramento. And I'm going to submit. So notice here it doesn't give me the ability to go in and view my results because of that setting change. Now I've switched back to my T account, and I now have 2 responses in here. And I'm going to go to the second response, right? And now here it says the score is not released. If I go to the first response, it tells me the score was released and the date and time that it was released. If I go to the second response, it lets me know the score is not released. So I can then release the score, right? And it would send an email to the respondent and release their scores. So they'll get an email with their responses in it. And so I'm going to go back to settings at this point, and I'm going to change that back to immediately after each submission. For me, this type of quiz doesn't warrant me having to do a manual review, collecting email addresses, and having to go in and release the scores for each respondent. So I'm going to change it back to immediately after each submission. And the last thing we're going to do in this module is learn how to make a copy of a form. So in between your send button and your account information, you have that more ellipsis. We're going to click on that, and we're going to choose make a copy. So I'm going to cancel out of here. So you notice it said make a copy of an untitled form. I'm going to click up on the upper left where it says Untitled Form, so it populates with State Capital Quiz 1. And then I'm going to go back to More and make a copy. So I'm going to name the copy. I'm going to get rid of Copy Of and change the 1 at the end to a 2. The thinking is that we're going to do, well, we're not going to do, we're going to do more of these state capital quizzes, but the next one will use the next 5 states in alphabetical order kind of thing. So we're just getting it set up. Notice it's going to put it in your My Drive folder. And at the bottom, I'm going to choose Make a Copy. So notice up here, it now says State Capital Quiz 2. That's the copy. We didn't change anything on it, so it's still showing in the heading here that it's Quiz 1. But that's the copy of the one that we did. And I'm going to navigate to My Drive now. Because that's where it told me it was going to put it. So let's see. Let me refresh. Sometimes it gets a little static. Yeah, so there, it's there now. So State Capital Quiz 1. And if I'm looking in My Drive, it lets me know there's new responses, right? Every time there's new responses that you haven't seen or whatever will show there. And then this one we just created right now. So I'm going to go back to Forms, doesn't matter which one. I'm going to close one of my form screens, go back to the other. And I'm going to just go to the Forms homepage at this point. In Module 6, we used a form to create a quiz. And we started by changing a setting, which changed a form into a quiz. We added some questions to the quiz. Then we added an answer key and added feedback to the answers. You learned how to change options for releasing grades. So when we first took the quiz as a respondent, we allowed the respondent to see their results right then. And then we went and changed it and said that we would email the results after a manual review. And we saw how to set that up. And we changed it back to the default because if you don't have to do the extra work, you shouldn't. And when we learned how to send the emails to the respondents with their answers, once we had the option changed for that. And then we ended by learning how to make a copy of a form. It just so happened to be a quiz, but you can make a copy of any form or form that's been turned into a quiz. In Module 7, we're going to be adding images and videos to a form. Now, we've already added an image to a form header. In this module, we're going to start with adding an image to a question and then adding an image to a form. We'll end by adding a video to a form, and you have a Word document from the files from the video description that's entitled Link to YouTube Video for Form. And there's just another note here. If you're using a Google Workspace account for this course, the account must be older than 30 days in order to be able to add a video to a form. Now I'm back in State Capital Quiz 1, and this is on this quiz, we're going to add images to questions to the form, and we're also going to add a video to the form. So let's start with the first question. What is the capital of Alabama? I'm going to select that one. And you'll notice to the right of the question, there's a little image icon, and we're going to click on that. So you have the ability to upload images, to have images brought in directly from your webcam, to be able to put in a URL of an image, to go to photos. If you had them in your drive, they would show there. We are going to use Google Images. and we're going to click in the search box at the top. And we're going to type Alabama State Seal and press enter. So it will bring up a bunch of Google images of the Alabama State Seal. I'm going to just click on the first one, and at the bottom, I'm going to choose Insert. And it's going to load the image into that question. And it brings it in bigger than we would want it to be. So if I click on the image, I'll see the sizing handles in each corner. I'm going to grab the bottom right sizing handle and start dragging it up. I'm resizing the image down. Definitely don't want it to be that big in the question. And I'm going to size it down a bit more. Kind of like that. We're not going for exactness here at this moment. So that is how you add an image to a question. Let's scroll down to the next question for Alaska. Click its image button. Go to Google Images. Click in the search box. And it's State Seal of Alaska. And I'm going to choose the first one. Well, I'm going to actually choose this one. And when I click Insert, and you're going to have to size it down as well. So I'm going to just make sure I select it so I can see its sizing handles. And size it down just a bit more. Kind of like that. So go ahead and get the state seal images for Arizona, Arkansas, and California and size those down as well. I'll show you my finished work when you're done. So when you're done, you have your Arizona, Arkansas, and California state seals. And those are images that are added to a question. In order to add an image to the form itself, you're going to use the right sidebar menu where we used it to add questions, sections, and titles earlier. And we're going to use the add image icon there. We have the same choices here. We're going to continue to use Google Images. And this time for the form image, we're going to do US map. And so I'm going to grab one that actually has the state names on them. I'll grab the first one and choose Insert. So notice it puts it at the bottom and you get to give the image a title. And we're going to title it Map of the United States. And perhaps we want to move it to the top. So it has that move dot formation. And I'm going to click and hold and start dragging it up. And now it's right underneath the title. And I'm going to just make the font for Map of the United States. I'm going to select the font and make it bold. And so your options for this image are to duplicate it, delete it, and then you have that you can show hover text, right? So you can put in text to show when you hover. I'm going to go back to that menu and deselect that. So now, and by the way, if we wanted to delete an image that we added here, like in the text of the question, we don't want to select it. So deselect it. And then you'll see its menu ellipsis. And if we click that, we can align it. We can change the image from here. We can remove it. And we can add a caption to an image that's in a question. So I've opened the Word document from the video description, the link to the YouTube video for form. And I'm going to copy that link. And then I'm going to switch back over to our form. On the right sidebar, I'm going to choose the Add Video icon. And you can search YouTube for videos, or you can, if you have the URL, which we do, I'm going to go to the URL tab and choose Control V to paste it in. If it's a successful link, you'll see a preview of the video on the screen. And so at the bottom, I'm going to choose the select button on the lower left-hand side. And I'm going to name this video State Capital Song. And I'm going to make that bold. And so we have the same menu that we had, right, where we can align the video. I'm going to center align it. And you have the same options that you have for an image picture. And then you can duplicate it. You can put it in the trash, or you can show a caption. So it put the video after the first question, and I think I want to move the video to the bottom after the last question. Now, I wouldn't really put a video in a quiz about state capitals that's telling everybody about the state capital, but I actually enjoy that video. I'm weird like that. So if I want to play the video, I've gone into preview mode. And I'm going to go down to the bottom. You'll see the play button on the video. And I realize I need to move the video down more. I thought it was all the way at the bottom. So preview mode is handy for that as well. So if you want to listen to the video, you can do it while you're in preview mode. And you can see that I've gone back to the form and changed the position. So the song is at the bottom now. So in Module 7, we made our quiz more interesting by adding images and videos to it. We started by adding images to each question on the quiz. We learned how to resize the images. We also added an image to the form and then moved it to the top of the form. And we ended by adding a video to a form, which we moved to the bottom of the form, and we went into preview mode so we could actually view the video. In our 8th and final module, we'll be using additional form features over 7 lessons. We'll start by learning how to allow respondents to attach files as a form response. And then you'll learn how to upload a file from your computer. We'll be using a file from the video description, a Word document named Sample Resume. In Lesson 3, you'll learn how to upload a file from My Drive, and we'll be using a PDF document that's also in the files for the video description, also entitled Sample Resume. In the 4th lesson, you'll learn how to locate uploaded files in My Drive, and then we'll move on to creating a pre-filled form. In the 6th lesson, you'll learn how to import form questions, and we'll end by creating a form template, which is the only lesson in this course that requires a Google Workspace account. If you don't have a Google Workspace account, you'll be able to see the process in case you get one in the future. I'm back on the Google Forms homepage, and from here we're going to create a new form, and then you'll learn how to allow respondents to attach files with their form response. So let's just click on blank to start a new form. And we're going to give this form a title. We're going to call it Job Application. That's good enough for now. And we don't need a form description, so we'll just leave that the way it is. And then for our first question, it's just going to be name. And we're going to leave it on short answer. We want to make it required. And then we're going to use our sidebar to add another question. And this one is going to be position desired. And we'll leave it multiple choice with the option buttons instead of check boxes. So we'll leave it multiple choice. And we're going to do the first one I'm going to put in is trainer. The next one is going to be senior, and I'm abbreviating it, trainer. And last but not least, training manager. And we're going to add another question. And this one is going to say, upload your resume. And for the answer type, we're going to change it here from multiple choice. And we're going to choose file upload. And so let respondents upload files to Drive. They will be uploaded to the form owner's Drive. And they'll be required to sign in to Google when file upload questions are added to a form. Make sure to only share this form with people you trust. I'm going to select continue. And then it gives me more choices here. I'm going to toggle on allow only specific file types. And I'm going to choose document and PDF. The maximum number of files, I'll leave it on 1. And I'm comfortable with the maximum file size. I can change it if I wanted to. And down here, I can go to View Folder in the lower right corner. And it takes me to my drive where it created, well, it has the untitled form. The form didn't click to make it titled. But then it has file responses. And then it has upload your resume file responses. So this folder is where the resumes are going to go to. And so I'm going to just switch back over to forms. And I also want to make this question required. And let's see. Yeah, so all of them are required. I'm making all 3 of these questions required. Now, I'm well aware that there would be a whole bunch more questions on a job application. But the purpose of this is how to show how to allow respondents to attach files to their responses. And so we've done that successfully. Now I'm going to click in the upper left where it says Untitled Form, so it fills it with the name of the form. Now we're going to send this form to our other email. I'm going to send it to my A account so that you'll be able to complete the form. And we're going to be using a Word document called Sample Resume that's in the files for the video description for this. So go ahead and send it and then switch over to your other account to Forms. And I'm going to put my name in as Alter Ego. I'll say I want to be a trainer. And then where it says upload my resume, I'm going to go ahead and add a file. I'm going to leave it on upload and choose browse. And then I'll see the Word document, sample resume, and I'm going to just double click it. And it's literally just a resume template. And then I'm going to choose submit. So for this one, we probably should have said to only allow them to have one response, and we'll take care of that and do that on the next test. We're going to leave this screen open because we're going to want to submit another response just for training purposes. But I'm in my alter ego account, and I want to get to my alter ego account Drive application. So navigate to your secondary account's Drive application. You'll notice when you go to your secondary account, the Word document that we uploaded when filling out the job application has been automatically saved in our Drive. And now we want to upload the PDF, also named Sample Resume, to our Drive. So what I'm going to just do here on the left on the menu, I'm going to click on New, and I'm going to choose File Upload. And then I see my sample resume in PDF format. I'm going to double click it. And you can see that I have the same file in here, but in two different formats. And getting this set up like this is strictly for the purpose of being able to fill out the job application form and upload a PDF that resides in my Drive or your Drive. And now I'm back on the screen where Alter Ego can submit another response. And this time I'm going to use the same information. Alter Ego is my name. Just to be different for this one, I'll desire a training manager position. And this time when I go to add file, instead of uploading like we did from our computer, we're going to go to the My Drive tab. And you'll see the PDF as well as the Word one. We're going to choose the PDF one and select Insert. And then go ahead and submit. You can close this window now and switch back to your primary account. And you can see we have two responses. And it's just showing the information. And you have both of those documents right there that you can open from right here if you wanted to. Or you can go back to Drive by clicking View Folder. And this will be in your primary account Drive. And so it's in the folder called Upload Your Resume. File responses. So all of them will be there. And notice it gives you the name of the file and then the person's name after it. So that's kind of cool. Great organization. Now I'm back in my primary account and I have the State Capital Quiz 1 open already. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn this into a pre-filled form, meaning that the correct answers will be given. And it will actually create what's called a pre-filled link. So we're going to go up to the More ellipses to the right of the Send button. And we're going to choose Get Pre-filled Link. And if you look in your lower left corner, it's telling you to pre-fill the responses, then click Get Link. And we're going to do just that. So we're going to choose the capital of Alabama, Montgomery. Alaska is Juneau. Arizona, we have Phoenix. Arkansas, Little Rock. And last but not least, California is Sacramento. So the scenario I'm using is we'll make believe that we didn't send this out to Alter Ego so she could be a respondent. And I need her to check and make sure that these answers are correct before I start distributing this quiz. So I want her to see if the answers I'm supplying are the correct answers. And then if I scroll to the bottom, I'll see Get Link and click that. And you're going to copy link in the box that pops up on the lower left. Now you can get that link to someone a variety of ways, emails, we're in, Google Workspace app. So I'm going to choose to use chat. And I've already gotten chat open for both of these accounts. So I'm going to go over and switch to my first chat tab, and that's the one I want to be in. At the top, I'm going to click in Find People, and I'm going to start typing my alter ego person and choose them. So now I have a chat going that I'm sending to Alter Ego, and I'm going to click in where it says history is on at the bottom, and I'm going to just say, please check that my answers are correct. Thanks. And then I'm going to paste Control V, the link that I was given, the pre-filled link. And you can actually see the answers in the link as well. And I'm going to go ahead and send that chat. So now I'm going to switch to my other chat screen here. And you can see that Alter Ego has a chat from Trish. And Alter Ego can click on that link in the chat and it brings up the pre-filled form or the pre-filled quiz in this point. So she can check to see if the answers are correct so I can distribute it. Let's say that we've been given the task of creating a more detailed job application and we want to leave the original one intact. So I'm on the forms homepage and I'm going to start a new blank form. And I'm going to title this one Detailed Job Application. And if you have a question in another form that you want to use in another form, you can use the ability to import form questions. And that's what we're going to do here. And then we'll add some more. So on our sidebar menu, the second icon is Import Questions, and we're going to select it. And when we do, it'll show us the forms that we have, and we're going to select the job application form, and then choose the select button on the lower left. And so now it will show on the right the questions that are in that form that's already existing. We're going to choose Select All. And then at the bottom, we're going to select Import Questions, and it has the number of questions that you're importing in parentheses. So I got that weird error saying that file's uploaded folder in Drive couldn't be found, and I chose Restore on that error. The folder is there. Sometimes, software will do strange things, and that just happens to be one of them. So if you get an error message, you can just choose Restore, and you should be okay. And it will allow you to add another question, which I've done. So this question is going to be, what is your first available start date? And then for the answer type, it automatically changed it to date for me. So that's cool. And so when they answer, they can either put in the month, day, year, or they can choose it off of the calendar. We're also going to make this a required question. And let's see. Gave us that untitled question at the top because we did a new form. So I'm going to just drag that untitled question to the bottom so I don't have to create another one. And this question will be, what region do you live in? And the first option, we'll just keep it simple: north, south, east, and west. And so instead of recreating the first three questions, we were able to import them and then to add more questions onto this. And let's make our region question required as well. And we're going to click where it says Untitled Form so it fills in the name of the form for us. So let's say we wanted to make this into a form template. So you've seen the built-in templates that come. We used one for the time off request. I'm going to use the icon in the upper left to go back to the forms homepage. And at the top is where you'll see the template gallery with the templates that are included with the application. And so up at the top, you notice I'm on the General tab. Now, if you're in a business account, you have the ability to create your own templates. And so this is the one thing I said that you would need a business account to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Trish Training and Consulting tab, and I'm going to choose Submit Template. And then I'm going to click on Select a Form. And it defaults to recent, which is good. And I'm going to choose the detailed job application and choose Open. It's not really open, it's attaching it. So then I have this option to submit a copy of this file instead of the original. I'm going to leave it the way it is. And then I get to choose a category for it if I want. I'm going to just put in contracts, onboarding, and other forms, and select Submit. So now with the business account, I can create a bunch of forms and submit them as templates so that other users within my organization will have access to those templates. In our 8th and final module, we used additional form features. We started by allowing respondents to attach files, which is an answer response. We went on to uploading a file from your computer. We used a Word document for that. And then uploading a file from my drive, we uploaded a PDF to my drive. And then as a respondent, we attached that PDF. And then you learned how to locate uploaded files in my drive and in forms. And we moved on to creating a pre-filled form. We got a link that we sent via chat to our other email user. And that was so they could check to make sure that our answers were correct. We moved on to importing form questions. So we created a new form, a detailed job description, and we imported the 3 questions on our original job description form and then added some more. And we ended by creating a form template that requires you to have a Google Workspace business account. I'd like to thank everyone for viewing this Google Forms video course. Again, my name is Trish Connor Cato. To recap what was covered in this course, we used forms to create a quiz. So we created our state capital quiz, and you learned how to add an answer key and how to add feedback to answers. You learned about the options for releasing grades, which is pretty much immediately or when you go in after manually reviewing and choose to release them. And you also learned how to send the emails to the respondents with the answers if you're going to do it manually. And we ended that by making a copy of a form. In Module 7, we added images and videos to a form. We added an image to a question. We added an image to the form, and we added a video to the form. And in our final module, we used additional form features, including allowing respondents to attach files, uploading a file as a respondent from your computer, uploading a file as a respondent from My Drive, and then how to locate the uploaded files both in Forms and in My Drive. We moved on to creating a pre-filled form, which we sent the link via chat to our other account. And then we imported form questions when we created a more detailed job description form. We were able to import the questions from our original job description form instead of having to recreate the wheel. And then we added additional questions to it. And we ended by creating a form template that anyone in your organization can access if you have a business account and use as a starting point.